All right, I know I'm bombarding you with questions, but turn to Georgia with us for a moment, Joyce. An appeals court there now might disqualify Fani Willis. If she would have recused herself months ago, would we be in trial territory at this point?
You know, it's tough to say. There are so many variables here, but the reality is that what the Court of Appeals in Georgia will do is they will decide whether or not the trial judge, Judge McAfee, got it right. They're reviewing his decision. They will accord him broad discretion. I think it's unlikely that they'll reverse him. So the real issue here is the amount of time it will take. It'll probably take months. And then, of course, whichever party loses in the Court of Appeals will almost certainly take an appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court. So it's less the ultimate outcome of this case and whether or not what Fani Willis did was correct at the beginning. This was always going to go on this appellate path once the issue arose. And it's unfortunate. You know, I think we all have views about why we got here, but the reality is this case is now delayed severely. Delay. In Florida, delayed indefinitely. Now, Georgia, it has been a rough few days for Jack Smith and Fani Willis. Mark, do you think we are going to see any progress here before the election and after the election? Do you think these trials are ever going to happen?
Well, I don't know. But I mean, the key question is anything going to happen before the election? And I think the answer is no. The days of magical legal thinking are over. The cavalry's not coming. The legal cavalry is not coming to the rescue of Joe Biden, which is, I think it's good. I think voters should focus on the election. The way to beat Donald Trump is not in court ultimately, but at the ballot box.
All right, gang, let's dive right in here. So as you saw there, that was an MSNBC panel led by Stephanie Ruhle, all of them admitting that the Democrats' attempt at stealing another election, this time through lawfare, through the deliberate derailing of the Republican candidate for president by way of weaponizing the legal system against him, they're all admitting it has officially failed. It is completely and utterly collapsed. And they're not alone. Politico, which is for all practical purposes the mouthpiece of the DNC, is now openly admitting that Trump has successfully beaten the Democrats at their own lawfare game. And he's winning across the board. Let's take an account of what they're seeing here. First, you've got Jack Smith's classified documents case against Trump, the case that crossed the Rubicon by raiding a former president's home at Mar-a-Lago, never been done in the history of our nation. This is what got the whole lawfare train rolling. That very case has now officially imploded. Judge Eileen Cannon has postponed indefinitely the trial date, and that indefinite postponement is the closest thing you can get to a judge completely tossing the case out. In fact, in many respects, it's even better because Judge Cannon has left Jack Smith bereft of any ability to appeal her decision. It leaves Smith nothing to appeal. A prosecutor has no basis to appeal a judge's decision declining to set a new trial date. So the case is basically frozen. Now, the indefinite suspension of the case comes on the heels of revelations that this rogue prosecutor, Jack Smith, admitted in court papers that the prosecution did indeed tamper with the evidence central to the entire trial. Remember that image? Remember that legacy media image that legacy media just published all over the place showing the classified documents scattered all over the floor at Mar-a-Lago? Remember that? It was all a setup. It was all a setup. According to court documents, the cover sheets on all of those documents were literally planted by FBI agents. Everything you see there, you know, with the capital letters, secret, secret, classified, classified, all of that was planted. According to court filings released by Judge Cannon, Jack Smith admitted that the FBI brought those cover sheets with them to the Mar-a-Lago raid. They paper clipped those cover sheets onto the documents and then scattered them across the floor for the sole purpose of creating that stunt photo, the crime scene, to make it appear as if the documents were mishandled by Trump. And unfortunately for Jack Smith, Unfortunately for him, it went beyond just a photo op. That's actually how he presented the evidence to the court. In other words, Smith and the FBI didn't just tamper with evidence and violate the whole chain of custody protocols, but then he turned around and lied about it to the court in the process. Jack Smith basically admitted in his latest filing that he misled the court, that he presented as solid, sound evidence that which was fabricated for a photo op. So it's not simply that he made a mistake in his filing. He literally admitted in court papers that he misled the court. And legal experts are saying that is absolutely fatal to Smith's case. There is no coming back from admitting that you misled the court. And that's the classified documents case. So that's basically dead. Then, of course, you got the J6 case, the other case that Jack Smith is trying to take Trump out with. And that case is in limbo while the Supreme Court considers Trump's claim to presidential immunity. And the key here is that it's not only that the case is on ice as long as the Supreme Court is considering immunity. The key here is that no matter what, the Supreme Court is going to make a decision. It's going to send the case back to Chutkan, that Marxist judge, Chutkan's court. And here's the key: no matter what Chutkan decides from that point forward, it bears directly with the Supreme Court's immunity decision. And so, by definition, no matter what she decides, all her decisions are immediately appealable to the D.C. Circuit and eventually to the Supreme Court. So, in other words, no matter what, this trial, this J6 trial against Trump, no matter what, is going to be appealed way beyond November, no matter what Chutkan rules. Any appeal on Trump's part guarantees this case doesn't happen until after November at all. So there's down 2 cases. And then, of course, you got the third, right? 3 out of 4 now. Then you've got the big Fani Willis case in Fulton County, Georgia. Now, that's probably the most hilarious turn of events of them all, because now she's the subject of interrogation by the Georgia Senate. Now she's on the dock. They're investigating whether she misused state funds flying around with her boy toy all over the world, taking these elaborate vacations after she was paying him nearly $1 million to try this felony case, even though he's never tried a felony case before. And at the same time, Trump's legal team is successfully appealing that idiot judge's decision in this case to keep Fani Willis on, even after she admitted to having an affair with a subordinate during the whole process of the trial. And that appellate process may indeed end up booting her off the case entirely. So there we're down 1, 2, 3. We're left with a single case now of the 4 cases against Trump, the 4 felony cases. Finally, what does that leave us with this 4th case? It leaves us with a freaking porn star. It leaves us with a freaking porn star. That's it. And again, I can't believe, this judge, what's his name, Merchant or whatever, in Juan Merchant in New York, how he dare. I mean, what a clown. What a clown. He threatens Trump with jail because he says, Trump, you are not taking this court seriously. You are not respecting the sanctity of this court. He says that literally on the very morning that he then turns around and says, all right, now bring out the porn star. I mean, this is an insult to clowns. This is an insult to circuses. So as it turns out, all they've got left is a porn star. And to make it even worse, it looks like that porn star, Stormy Daniels, just doomed Alvin Bragg's case.
But first, gang, our good friend Mike Lindell needs your help. Mike is one of the strongest patriots working tirelessly for the America First and MAGA movements in this country, and also happens to be a very close friend to this channel, as you know. From election integrity to protecting American businesses, Mike really does it all. And now, As the cabal of deep state lawyers and election machine companies are trying to take Mike down with frivolous lawsuits, he needs your support more than ever. Mike recently said he was going to fight every lawsuit until he wins and will never settle out of court with people who help rig the election. So, with this in mind, I want to remind you about the incredible MyPillow deals Mike is offering with my promo code Turley. Now, if you just click on the link in my description below, you can save well over 60% on all sorts of incredible MyPillow products. Of course, Mike is offering huge savings on the new and improved MyPillow 2.0, but gang, I would also recommend hugely Mike's My Slippers, as well as his amazingly comfortable bed sheets. These are some of the comfiest slippers and sheets I've ever owned. In fact, I would use that word to describe all of MyPillow's products. Comfy to the maximum. So don't wait, gang. Support Mike as he fights for election integrity and gets some extremely comfy things to boot. It's a win-win. Don't wait. Click on that link below or go to mypillow.com/Turley right now.
Well, it was clear reversible error today committed by the judge and by the prosecution under the reasoning of the recently reversed Harvey Weinstein case. So much information came out that was utterly irrelevant. Let's start with whether they had sex at all. Utterly irrelevant. The only issue is whether she threatened to expose him and whether she extorted him and whether he then paid money to avoid the embarrassment to his family, to his business, to his children, and, according to the prosecution, to help himself get reelected. The issue of what actually happened is utterly irrelevant. And then we get to the details, the silk pajamas, the kind of lotion he was wearing. I can't imagine how the Court of Appeals in New York that reversed the Harvey Weinstein conviction, which was a harder case to reverse, wouldn't reverse this conviction if it got up there. I would certainly recommend to the prosecutors in this case that they study the Weinstein case very carefully, because it gives a roadmap to what you can't do. And this prosecutor is just following the roadmap of what you can't do.
My namesake, Jonathan Turley, is basically saying the same thing. He's arguing that the court has already blatantly biased the jury against Trump by asserting all kinds of things that the prosecution has not proved. And they're asserting it as if it's a matter of fact. And they're tainting the jury with completely irrelevant testimony. You're not allowed to bring in things that are basically inadmissible. All that matters in this case, again, if you just want it very clear, bottom line, when all's said and done, all that matters in this ridiculous case is the objective nature of the hush money payment. That's it, the $130,000 that Michael Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels. All that matters is simply this. Was that payment, again, not even made by Trump, made by his lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen, an admitted serial liar. All that matters is whether that payment was a campaign finance violation. That's all that matters, okay? All that matters is whether or not that payment was a campaign finance violation. It's very simple to determine whether it was or not, okay? It's very simple. Was that payment solely a campaign expense, like paying for a pollster or paying for a campaign advisor, right? Can it be shown that that payment was only and ever a campaign expense? Or are there objectively other possible reasons for the payment? Did the payment serve multiple purposes, such as trying to keep this hidden from Melania or from his kids or from business partners or investors or whatever? Objectively speaking, whether anyone involved in this likes it or not, hush money payments do not fall solely under the category of campaign expenses. It's that simple. When all is said and done, hush money payments can, by definition, be made for all kinds of reasons. People who are running for office are not the only ones who do hush money payments. It's that simple. If hush money payments can be paid for reasons other than campaign, then they, by definition, cannot be campaign finance violations. Case closed. Write it down. It's that simple. If you've got, if you got woke friends who are still trying to figure this one out, explain it to them. It's very simple. To say that's what sunk the case against John Edwards in North Carolina, which they had a lot more evidence for that, where he's paying off all kinds of people to try to keep it hidden from his campaign. But again, he just pointed out, but I did it for other reasons. It's not specific to a campaign, and therefore cannot be a campaign violation. It's that simple.